Welcome to this video on additional ways to group. You can download the exercise workbook to follow along in your own copy of Tableau. In this video, we'll cover two ways of defining groups beyond Tableau's grouping feature, using calculations and working with bins. Visual grouping has a downside that grouping is static. What we'll do here is create a calculation to define a collection of marks and use that like this visual group. Let's say, for example, that we want to have a group of subcategories whose profits are over 100,000. We currently have a visual group for this, but it's static, and as the data is refreshed, it could become out of date. Instead, let's create a calculation. In the data window, right-click and select Create Calculated Field. We'll name this High Profit Subcategories. And for the formula, we'll put if sum of profit is greater than 100,000, then true, else false, end. This simply creates a Boolean or true-false output, where true indicates a sum of profits greater than 100,000. Now if we put this field on color, unlike before, as our data updates, any subcategory whose summed profits are at least $100,000 will be colored appropriately. The example here is dynamic as the data updates, but the calculation itself is static. Parameters can be used to make the calculation interactive. We'll add a threshold parameter to determine our cutoff for being in the high profit subcategory group. First, right-click in the data window and select Create Parameter. We'll name the parameter Threshold. We'll leave the data type as float and all for allowable values, but we'll set the current value to 100,000. Click OK, and then right-click on the parameter and select Show Parameter Control. Next, we need to create the calculated field. Otherwise, this parameter isn't connected to anything, and changing the value won't make an impact. We'll right-click in the data window and select Create Calculated Field. We'll name it Parameter High Profit. And for the formula, we'll use a variation of what we did before. Here, instead of typing in 100,000, we put in our parameter. Now, if we bring this field to color, not only will the group update as the data is refreshed, but the end user can modify the parameter, controlling the cutoff for membership in this group. Sometimes an analysis calls for grouping a measure into bins. A classic example is age groups. A person's age can fall anywhere on a spectrum, but we often see surveys asking us if we're 18 to 25, 55 or older, etc. It's very easy to create bins. Here, we'll do so for our sales measure. Right-click on that field in the data window and select Create Bins. Here, we can click Load to see the range of values for this field. Tableau automatically suggests a default size for the bins, but this is easily edited. Let's make it 1500. When we click OK, we see that we've created a new dimension, because dimensions are how we break out measures into categories, which is exactly what we want the bins to do. Now we can use this new field. We'll bring bin to columns and sales to rows. As a note, bin labels indicate the inclusive lower limit. Thank you for watching this video on additional grouping methods. We invite you to continue with the on-demand training videos to learn more about using Tableau. For more information on calculations and parameters, see the calculations section of the on-demand training videos.